This is my father, Edward VIII, who was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, Windsor. When he was king, his brief, well, he should still be the king. I'm going to lie this down. He never married Wallace Simpson. That was a ploy, a plot to take him down. Look at this man. He doesn't even, they had more than one imposter that played the role of King Edward VIII, supposedly abdicating and becoming the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. She's an American spy, Wallace Warfield Simpson. Now then, I want to show this, though. I'm showing a lot of other things. Excuse me, I don't have proper equipment, and I live day to day, but wonder if I'm going to grab what few things I have and be shoved out the door to go somewhere else to try to find a nest to live in. And some people, a few months ago, a couple of ladies sent me a few clothes, which I didn't have. I might add that was very kind of them, and they were very nice, couple of pair of shoes and some food and some clothes there, and I appreciate it. I might add this also. Anybody had the chance to walk up to me, help me. There's no way in H-E, you know what, that I should have lived like this. Not just because I'm Margaret Ann Windsor and you took my name and you helped some of my own people, Winston Churchill, burn the Windsor files, and I don't care what anybody wants to call the Windsor files. I understand that he burned files supposed to that were detrimental to Great Britain, that was supposed to be the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Well, that's not my father, and he knows it. So that's not, if he burned that, or that's a seal he put on him, it's been unsealed. It's a total friggin' lie plot to take down my father. And they took down my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, sister to artist George O'Keefe. That's my beautiful mom and father, and they love me very much. At 2 years old, I'm taken by JFK and the bunch of Illuminati that control your press. I want to show you this because when I found out about my kidnapping, it was after I was in the campaign for U.S. Congress and flown out to Mr. Flint's. That's after then was when I started finding out about my kidnapping. And by the way, the Brits are the ones and some Germans that told me. And then you get into some Americans helped, but most of them don't feel that they've done anything wrong yet. They don't want it publicized. You know, it should be a feather in their cap if they're so proud of it. Invading the UK, taking down my father and mother, kidnapping me, the real monarch, and there were legal papers drawn up, all legal, the minute I was born. So Elizabeth is fake. She's a war criminal. The whole friggin' bunch of them are. But hey, you're going to take them to the war tribunal over in the Netherlands, where it's controlled by Henry Kissinger and the global people I'm talking about. But I was kidnapped and brought in 1941 to Moulton, Alabama, to a pigsty farm. I mean, it was horrible. I'm talking about the dirt, the filth, everything. Horrible. Horrible people. But then horrible people was JFK and his brood that got wealthy. He became president, and his son even came up on the mountain, JFK Jr. Yes, he did. I've put all this up before, and specifically came down here, and I quote him and his cousin, who both of them died within 12 days of each other back in 1997, am I correct, or 99, when he flew into the ocean, and his cousin, which is the son of Lee Raswell, Jackie's sister, they both come up there in about 94, and come up the side of the mountain where I'd spent the winter freezing and starving and no clothes, no nothing. Come up the mountain, the old trail, and I've put it up. It can be, somebody's got to know about it other than me, because I can date when they came within, I really can, by the trail there. Anyway, let me get back to this, or I'm not going to get this up. This is a picture of, they say they're enemies. Well, aren't they are. I showed the picture there of my uncle meeting with Mrs. Roosevelt in 1939, and here they kidnapped me, and they're shaking hands right after I've been kidnapped, and well, wash their hands of me too, and my father and mother. She was so much a part of this. If you get into it and you start reading about the Illuminati and the well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Who am I trying to write about here? You'll get to see all my stuff I've got up here. The United Nations is a front for the Illuminati, your global government that they're talking about in Revelations, and yes, they are. The chipping, all of it. The beast. Okay, Elizabeth is high-ranking member. Well, to make it short, if my father had gone along with them, it'd still be this way. But they took him down. He wouldn't go along with the Illuminati and take the orders. So they plotted to take him down, and they did. And they pretty much got rid of my mom. Any picture you find it's not my mom. Now then, well, I'm blank here. I usually go by, I don't write it down. So anyway, let me get back to my father. They took him down in 36, kidnapped me in 41, and they installed George Illegal 6. This is the Illuminati. Installed him as George VI, King of England. Works for the Illuminati, not the British people. He allowed those treaties to be signed, they're illegal, that allowed the United States to come in under the guise of keeping us from the Germans. Ha! They come in and took over everything British. Hey, kidnapped the monarch, and here I sit. You want to see what happened to my sons because of their name? I hope the world has to see it. And, okay, it's not funny. Not funny at all. To me, and maybe to some people. So where have I gotten to here? It allowed the United States to come in, and they partnered with like Truman. And you go back to these names, and Eisenhower, and even up to Nixon, and of course Kennedy. But you got Eisenhower was friends of Winston Churchill. He gets into Winston Churchill, well, of course, was friends with Roosevelt. He lived in the White House, had an apartment there. They sent limos to him. So he's courting the enemy. He's not working for the British people at all. History is a lie. They made the bad look good, the good look bad. And I would love to see my father's name cleared and my mom's added to as his wife. He never married this American spy. She married a double. And Elizabeth and all of them have always known it. So much for the freedom of the press. All right? So I guess that's all. This was telling Project Lucid. I'm going back to this. Just about George Orwell and the prophecy and the computer. Project Lucid would be more convinced that the advent of the dark technology and the establishment of massive global computer network conceived for Lucid Net presents mankind with a do-or-die predicament. So this is what I was telling about in the Tesla files, and then Donald Trump, president now, his uncle, who was professor at MIT, was supposed to have stolen these files. The Illuminati did. They had them. The FBI got them, and that's when my book involved stuff from the Tesla files, which I'd never read. And I had a letter from the FBI in 79, ongoing investigation, national security involved. Well, they can come in, as far as I know, the Brits and the FBI, some of them, and the Germans have kept me and my children alive as bad as our life has been in front of anybody. Anybody could have come up and tried to help. No, they didn't. Oh, no. There's 2 women lately that have tried and have helped to really to a degree. I mean, at least I've had some decent food and a few clothes other than the rags I was wearing, etc., etc. I'm not going to get all this up. The United Nations was came to me, and I had all this. I was up last night getting the dates. Anyway, you can Google it. I mean, that's the part of this all. The United Nations is a front for the global government. It is the global government. And it came to be because they took down my father, and the treaties that allowed the United States to come in and place their bases all under the UK, then in Australia, and the Area 51 down there, plus all the other. And then they really, at that point, because of the placement of the UK and taking out my father, putting their own George VI monarch in, and Elizabeth, oh my God, they bow down to this woman. She's illegal. Anyway, the placement there put the United States where they could control Germany, they could control Switzerland, that becomes a part in all this. They could control my family that were monarchs, are monarchs. And by the way, now they're members high ranking of the Illuminati. I'm talking about Denmark, Netherlands. That's where the war crimes are. And wouldn't you just see Henry Kissinger prosecuting himself? Y'all, fox in the hen house, right? Okay, then there's, I'm losing it here, Netherlands. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, look it up. My family that are there, and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on that, because, they were kind of forced into it, at least at first. But anyway, the United States had to, in the Illuminati, and they garnered some of my own people, obviously. So now then you had to take over everybody. And you had to make them sound good to be able to, well, I don't know if you did or not, to put the military forces in there and gain control, and now they're under the United Nations. And I believe the treaty, I had all this put down this morning, but God knows I don't know where I put it now. I don't feel good, that's all I can say. You can Google it, and you can see, I wish I had this, well, too late now. I don't have it. So that's the predicament I'm in. I don't have somebody helping me with this. And right now I don't feel good. I think I said that 3 or 4 times. Excuse me. But it tells how the United Nations, it doesn't tell what I'm telling, that they were put into being in, I've forgotten what year. Heck, Google it. I mean, really, you get a whole wealth of information there. They pretend they're the good guys, and they've got all these agencies. Just look at where their agencies are in the world, the cities they're in. It would shock you. And, well, I don't know if it would, but you should look at it and see the government that runs, if that's a government, that runs everything now. And you can Google it, and I beg you to look at it. And the cities, and they've done it because they're going to make everything better for you. Now they're in control. They're the ones that you go to, and you don't think that, hey, they help commit all these illnesses, and then, through the Center for Disease Control, Ebola, AIDS, and you can go in there and then pretend to be the good guy, and you can show pictures of you loving the South Africans, when in actuality you brought about Elizabeth and George the illegal six, and now then, I don't know that Meghan knows the part she's playing, but it's the race card. And the South Africans are now, they unfolded a statue of Nelson Mandela. And all this has been done under civil rights. So they come in looking good when they're going to stick a chip in you, and that's the end of your civil rights. Amen on that. End of your civil rights. My intent, and I'm not running for Congress, and I'm not running for anything. I'm the monarch. I would never, my father didn't, I wouldn't allow this to happen to South Africa. And I hope you don't buy it, because most of you have already bought it. And you're right in the global government, the UN, right now, promoting it. And I'm sorry about that, because Martin Luther King partnered with JFK on mind control and all this way back. And my kidnapping, they totally knew all about it. JFK helped kidnap me. But then you've got Reverend Andrew Young. He was mayor of Atlanta, and I went into his office. Oh, he's too busy to see me, but he can help do all this to me. He was appointed to United Nations by Jimmy Carter, the president, ex-governor, and I thought he was a good guy. No, no, he's not. Okay, then you've got Reverend Young, was U.S. House Representative. He was appointed by Carter as U.S. Representative to the United Nations, which is your global government. And I'm going to stop here because it just gets to be too much. You can easily Google it. This all came to be the United Nations special, what is it up there now? I've forgotten. So I shouldn't even have started this, I guess, where Trump just spoke. They wouldn't have been, because my father wouldn't allow them to move into the UK, none of it. He's a good guy, and look at what they've done to him. His name is a total lie, what they've done to him. A beautiful man. And you think I don't want the truth told about my father and about what's been done to me and my children, my country? I certainly do. I've told it the best I can. All I can say is, from all accounts, and I wouldn't have said this some years ago because I didn't know where it was going, but it certainly seems to be the end times. I don't have a date. I don't know, but I know it's in place. And I guess that's all I have to say. I don't know where it can go from now. The only one that could come in and do anything about my problem, because you can't go back and make people pay. I can't. And I doubt, that Congress has always known about me, the United States government. That's the Friends. They made us fight against ourselves, and that's why they were allowed to take over all these countries. They allowed the Brits to have to fight against themselves. What a joke.